What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Twin Wrestle Pod. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Today, we're going to be talking about something different from AEW and WWE. We're going to be talking about last night's TNA Bound for Glory, which pretty much is TNA's biggest pay-per-view in its history. Bound for Glory has a lot of history with a lot of current wrestlers in the landscape at the moment. This version of 2025 was a really good show, okay? Most of the matches here, especially when it comes to the single matches, I think didn't really need to be on the show for instances, really, because they only lasted like 7 to 12 minutes max. And some of the matches here were in a dead spot. I'll get to that once we get to the TNA Knockouts Women's Championship match with Kalani Jordan and Indy Hartwell. That match was in a dead spot because it came right after the Talia Strott Gauntlet match. But to start off the show, I didn't watch the pre-show. I actually missed like the beginning of the show, so I thought it came on at 8, but it came on at 7. But I went back and rewatched almost everything that I missed. The pre-show, only match I know that was on the pre-show was the Inspiration, Billy Kay and Jesse McKay and Peyton Royce. I don't know their real names. I forget their real names, but Peyton Royce and Billy Kay defending their TNA Tag Team Championships versus the Elegance brand. I think I know Ashbat Elegance, the former Dana Brooke, had to relinquish the championship maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I forget the name of these girls, but the women that are associated with Ashbat Elegance and the Elegance brand, they were facing the Inspiration, and Inspiration won, which I felt kind of interesting because I read a report a couple days ago, or maybe last week, that their contracts were coming up soon, and I haven't heard nothing else about it, so I didn't expect them to win this to retain the championship. I thought they would want to drop them, play into the contract situation, but this win lets me know that they're going to re-sign with TNA, because you don't just retain the championships if your contract is up. You losing those championships, and then if you ain't coming to no conclusion with the company and the contract, you're gone somewhere elsewhere. But they've had a pretty good thing going with TNA for a while since leaving WWE. I know they took time off, had children, and then they just recently came back not too long ago. But the Inspiration won. So let's get into the main card. To kick off the show, we had Steve Macklin versus Kazarian for the AEW International Championship. And like I said, for the NXT Showdown show, I didn't think the International Championship was still a thing, man. I really didn't. But Kazarian, he's holding it. I didn't know he was a heel, and Macklin is a babyface. Last time I checked on TNA, the roles were reversed. Kazarian was a babyface, and Steve Macklin was a heel. But this match didn't last long. This was 8 minutes tops. Kazarian was doing things like agitating Macklin's mom, who was at ringside watching her son against Kazarian. And really, that ended up costing Kazarian the match, pretty much. He kept antagonizing Macklin's mom. Macklin had enough of it, hitting with the KIA to pick up the win and become the new TNA International Champion. I'd like to see a little bit more of Steve Macklin, to be honest. I'm interested in seeing him now with this babyface turn. I think I don't know if he's a former TNA World Champ. I don't know. I know he was doing things with his wife Deanna Purrazzo when she was in TNA, so I don't know. I didn't watch it back then at all. But I would like to see more of him in the main event scene with the TNA Championship. That'd be interesting for sure as a babyface. But Macklin picked up the win over Kazarian, and then we found out later on in the night why Kazarian lost the way he lost. The next day we had another match that just didn't need to beat her, but this goes back to Slammiversary. Tessa Blanchard versus the ring announcer Gia Miller. Only thing I'm gonna say about this match, Gia Miller looks really good as a pro wrestler, so she might be taking this up going forward. Tessa Blanchard, good as always, but you won't be able to see that her great potential on a widespread scale because of the hot toxicity she has radiating around her. Like it's don't follow her for the rest of her career. So you might not never see her in WWE or AEW for that matter, because she's just radioactive, white hot, right? White hot in the negative sense. But Tessa wasn't taking Gia seriously in this matchup until Gia took her down with a headlock takedown. After that, Tessa tightened up a little bit, took her serious, and just played this match as like a normal heel babyface match. She got her heat, and she cheated to pretty much win the match with a roll of quarters by punching Gia Miller in the head and pinning her. So that was the finish. One fucking spot that I was just I was confused at. Okay, so the former Alicia Fox, I think they call her Victoria Crawford, right? So as Tessa and Gia are battling in a corner or whatever, Alicia Fox just gets on the fucking apron. Victoria Crawford gets on the apron and just starts beating up Gia Miller. I'm like, ain't that a fucking disqualification, ref? Do your fucking job. And she did it in plain sight of the referee. Was that a spot that they run over? Because that spot was just fucking stupid. She ain't playing the eradicated Alicia Fox that just do shit just unhinged. Or is she playing the same type of character, just a different name? I don't know, but that just had me going, what the fuck going on? She's supposed to be DQ. Tessa Blanchard supposed to be DQ'd out of this match. Jim Miller should have won based off that. So that shit just it just threw me for a loop. Like, what the fuck? Instead, the referee just threw Victoria Crawford out of the ringside area. One cool spot that I'll go for in this matchup was with Joy Threat, right? She, as the security and coming out there to escort Victoria Crawford to the back, Tessa Blanchard's arguing with him. So as in the midst of them arguing, Joy Threat jumps off of the turnbuckle, somersaults onto everybody, and the crowd really popped for that. The crowd wasn't really into this match as much, but that spot they popped for, and Threat chased Crawford outside and back to the ramp, back to the backstage. And then we led to the finish that we got with Tessa hitting Gia Miller with the quarters and pinning her. So this match was like a nothing match, but I guess I understand why it was here, because this is the first time we're seeing Tessa Blanchard since Slammiversary, where she had kayfabe suspended for beating up Gia Miller ringside after her loss to Indy Hartwell at Slammiversary. But this match was okay. At least the spot, that Victoria Crawford spot just had my ass weak as fuck. But like I said, I do like Gia Miller as a wrestler. She has a great look, like legit. Like she looked a little better than Tessa to me. Next up, we had the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. So this is their form of a Royal Rumble match, but it's an intergender, so it's men and women involved, and the intervals are not as long as the Royal Rumble intervals in terms of participants coming in and out. To start the match, we had Lei In Lee, the former Xia Li, and Mara Sade, the former Jakara Jackson, both former WWE talents, started this matchup. Going back and forth. Then we had Ryan Nemeth come out there at number 3. He was apprehensive of getting into the ring at first until the girls brought him in there. That brought out number 4, his brother Nick Nemeth, and Nick Nemeth proceeded to go after the woman. They started brawling there. Number 5, we had Cedric Alexander, who came out there and prevented Nick and Ryan Nemeth from going after Mara and Lee. Then at number 6, we have Rich Swann, who I can say, since the last time I seen him, since he's been in TNA, he's been doing more better things. I remember his run as the TNA World Champ. I remember he fought Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega beat him when Kenny Omega was doing his whole belt collector gimmick back in 2020, 2021. That's the last time I seen Rich Swann at all. But I can say, I'll give him credit, he looks drastically better now. Like, he been in the gym working, brother. His body looks phenomenal, bro. Because I remember back in WWE days, he didn't have no six-pack whatsoever. That dude looks totally different. So you know he been in the gym, eating right, getting his body right, getting his mind right since he's been in TNA. So shout out to Rich Swann. We had a little callback to him and Cedric Alexander days back in 205 Live with like a spot where they know what move each other are throwing when they throw them. They do a drop kick or something like that, and the standoff with the crowd clap. Then we get to number 7 with Top Dollar, AJ Francis. Him and Rich Swann are part of a group called First Class. I'm gonna have to start looking into more of TNA stuff. I'll probably get the TNA Plus app to look more of their syndicated show. But this one elimination started to pilot once AJ Francis come out there. He goes out there. He attacks Mara Sade and he attacks Lee and he eliminates both of them. The crowd did not like that shit at all. And then as him and Rich Swann is celebrating, he grabs Rich Swann, who is his partner, by the way, in First Class, with a down payment, which is a choke slam, and he throws him over the top rope. Then that brought out Saint and Sinners is their name. Never heard of these guys ever before. They come out there. Then we have the YouTuber BDE come out there. I watch a little bit of his content here and there when I can. But shout out to the dude. Shout out to the brother for doing this thing. I know they got like a little wrestling group that they have. But shout out to him for entering in there. The crowd popped a little bit for him. He got a few handshakes. And he had one great move with him and AJ Francis. As AJ Francis goes up to hit him with a down payment, he lifts him up, but BDE comes down with a cutter. Pretty cool spot. And then that ended when Nick Nemeth hit him with a super kick. So he ate his super kick for his troubles. Next thing we had the Rascals. So every member of the Rascals, all three members counted as one, which is okay. Then at that moment, the three members of the Rascals and BDE all eliminated AJ Francis with a super kick. Next thing we had Dana Luna. Never seen her before. Loved her energy in the matchup, delivering a couple chops, a couple German suplexes, which was really cool. She has a good look in terms of the women's division. I was really looking forward to a finish coming down with some of the women, but she was probably like third to last of the women that entered this matchup. After her, we had Eric Young, the world-class maniac. I think that's what they call him. It's funny, man. I look at Eric Young now, as opposed to back in the days when Eric Young used to rock the bleach blonde hair, the white tights, and the red boots. You don't get that Eric Young anymore. He's drastically different now. Bald head, tattoos all over. That Eric Young from back in the day is completely gone, bruh. He comes out here just looking crazy. I remember when they tried to recreate the Daniel Bryan moment with him back in like 2015, 2016, like their last couple years on Spike TV when they made him the World Heavyweight Champ. It's pretty cool, man. But gone are those days of Eric Young. Oh, he's out there nowadays, man. Then that proceeded to bring out Jake Something, who was the next entrant. I always thought Jake Something had a good look. This is my first time seeing him in a long time. Big brawly dude, about 260. Looked pretty good in the matchup. Then we had the next entry, Rosemary, who at this point is a fucking veteran in TNA, bro. Respectfully, I think Rosemary need to leave TNA, but I don't think she will at this point because she's been there so long, bro. Who could remember her with Crazy Steve, Abyss? I think that was the last time I seen like that Rosemary at all. Like her, Abyss, and Crazy Steve all together. I forget what their group used to be called, but back when they was doing against Matt Hardy now, when Matt was doing Broken Matt, that's like 2016 somewhere in there, somewhere. But Rosemary looked drastically different. She looks so different now. Shorter hair, don't have the black and red like she used to have. I remember back in the days when she was doing the thing with Brown. When Brown, I think he was close to winning the world championship at the time. And she used to have these backstage vignettes with her wearing a white dress and shit like that. But Rosemary came. I didn't expect to see Rosemary in there, but it's good to see Rosemary. Next thing we had the hometown man. I don't know the identity of the guy under the mask, but the hometown man essentially is the guy who comes to every arena that they in. He's the hometown man, basically. So they were in Boston for TNA Bound for Glory, and he had a Boston Celtics Larry Legend jersey on. The crowd ate it up. They was all for him, so more props to him. Next thing we had Zach Clayton, and the surprising thing about Zach Clayton entrance is he had little Guido. You know. FBI back in the day, the ECW days, little Guido. You know what I mean? Full-blooded Italians, man. If you know, you know. But Zach Clayton is a part of the new iteration of the FBI. I think they said it was. He's all right. And then we had Joy Threat, the girl from earlier, come out. She's running around. running around the ring, and then as soon as she gets back toward the stage, she gets clotheslined by Kazarian, who takes her spot and replaces her in the cardio shot gauntlet. And Santino comes out there, berates Cass for doing what he's doing. And as the countdown ticks down, you hear Santino's music, and he is also in the cardio shot gauntlet matchup. He puts the Cobra on, takes his badge off, puts his Cobra on, hits Kazarian with the Cobra strike, and as soon as he gets in the ring, as soon as he steps foot completely in, Nick Nemeth eliminates him, and he still holds the record for the quickest elimination in Rumble or Gauntlet history, if you want to put it that way. Then we have Matt Cardona coming in at number 19. Huge pop. That was going to be my pick because I think Matt Cardona was out of everybody in the matchup, if it wasn't going to be no woman in there, Matt Cardona was the one I thought was going to win this thing. So then we get to number 20. We get Mads Warner with his wife. Ringside, they kiss, and then blood is all over their face, kind of like how Karrion Kross and Starlet did. Step the Lander and Mans Warner kiss, and blood is everywhere. So this to the point where I think the final 6 or 7 might have been Matt Cardona, Mans Warner, both Nemeth brothers, Kazarian. I think that was it at that point. So everybody gets to start getting eliminated. It comes down to Mans Warner, Matt Cardona, the Nemeths. Matt Cardona eliminates Mans Warner, and then he's just left with both Nemeth brothers. He ducks Nick Nemeth's clothesline and clotheslines the other. And as Nick is getting back up, Ryan has Matt Cardona held up on the outside of the ring. Nick goes for the super kick. Matt ducks it, and Nick hits his brother Ryan, eliminating him. So at this point, it's one-on-one. Everybody, yes, the impression is one-on-one. Matt Cardona versus Nick Nemeth. So as these two are battling, Matt Cardona goes to run to the ring ropes. By this whole time, Steph DeLander is still out there. She grabs Matt Cardona's leg as he bounces off the ropes, distracts him, and Mans Warner gets on the apron and he throws out Matt Cardona. So I'm like, man, what the fuck? Nick Nemeth, he already done been the world champ, huh? To my recollection, I haven't seen Matt Cardona as the TNA world champ yet. So the Indie God, as he calls himself, should have won it. Should have won this match right here. So Matt Cardona is eliminated. Then Nick Nemeth thinks he won, but lo and behold, Kazarian was never eliminated. He was just on the outside of the ring selling the impact of the Cobra. So he gets in, runs at Nick. They hit the referee. He goes to pin, and the ref is down. And then Nick Nemeth gets out of it. He hits Kazarian with a super kick, pins him. A new ref comes in, but Kazarian kicks out. Then for the finish, they go to the top rope. Kazarian hits Nick Nemeth with the superplex. They did this kind of clunky. I think the best solution probably would have been if Kazarian hits the clothesline and his momentum carries him over. Like if you see Seth Rollins do the Falcon Arrow, he'd do a suplex or something, and then he'd roll over into the Falcon Arrow. I think that would have benefited them much more with this spot, because they both ended up rolling up each other, and both shoulders were on the mat, and they both got pinned at the same time for a draw. The crowd didn't like it. If Kazarian would have had his momentum push him over, Nick Nemeth could have rolled his legs up, and they could have both had shoulders on the mat, and you could have done it better that way. But both men have won the match, and as a result of the draw, so they tie. They both win the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match, and they can call their shot whenever they want to. And I think they said Kazarian won it last year, which I'm like, all right. If anybody would have won this match, it would have been Matt Cardona for the man for me. And if it was a woman to win this match, I would have said either Rosemary, Danny Luna, or maybe Lee Ann Lee, because the former Xia Li, I've seen some of her matches in TNA. She's doing really well for herself over there. And I remember she had a TNA World Championship match back when I think either Jordan Grace was the champ or Masha Slamovich, one of the two was the champ. Had a really good match against those two, one of those women. So I would have been cool with her, one of them winning a gauntlet. It would have been cool and different to see. Next up, we had a match For the TNA Knockouts Women's Championship, Kalani Jordan defending the TNA Knockouts Women's Championship against Indy Hartwell. This match was in the dead zone, really, for real. Like, they didn't do this match no favors, and quite frankly, it shouldn't have really been on the show. They didn't really have a build for it. You know what I'm saying? Kalani was just on NXT Showdown last week. They said nothing. They said nothing about Indy Hartwell on that show. Nothing to build to no match, and she just won a championship like from Lee Ann Lee, probably 2 or 3 weeks prior to that. So for them to just put this match, just to have this match on the show, did them no favors. The crowd wasn't into this match at all. It was just there. The women were doing some great stuff, but the crowd had no reaction because they were so high from the gauntlet matchup. Like, this match has brought it into a low, so TNA was better off not doing this matchup and building it up for the next pay-per-view. Kalani ended up beating her anyway. So where does this take Indy? She was undefeated. They said she was 6-0. So where does it take her now? She lost to Kalani Jordan. Now where do we go from her? The TNA Knockouts Championship is still on an NXT product. So where do we go from here? They would have done better by building this up a little more, as opposed to that promo segment they had to last week to actually build to the show, like the actual match. They could have done more than that. But Kalani Jordan wins and retains her championship in a match that didn't really belong there. It went about 12 minutes. Crowd was dead for the most of it. They could have saved their spot. They could have saved this match for anything else down the line if Kalani was gonna win anyway. And the next match we got is the match I think was match of the night. Up until the fucking ending. Javon Evans versus the TNA X Division champion Leon Slater. And they was making a point on commentary to say the X Division is pretty much no weight limit. This match right here was the epitome of what the X Division was built off of back in the day. With motherfuckers like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Kazarian. Like, this was the epitome of Samoa Joe. This was the epitome of what this shit was built for. Guys like this, if you fucking know, you know. Back in the day, Petey Williams, Sanjay Dutt, like TNA legends, brother. This match epitomized everything what the X Division was. I'm not gonna recount every spot in this matchup at all, because even though I watched it, they was doing some crazy shit in this match. Leon Slater doing somersaults outside the ring over the turnbuckles onto Javon Evans. Javon Evans doing a fucking bouncy ass cutter, doing his finisher, the young OG cutter from the inside of the ring to the outside of the ring on an apron where he fucking hurt himself. Like, they was doing so much in this fucking match, man. It was insane. This was definitely the high point of the entire pay-per-view. No hands about it. Hands down, this was the best part of the pay-per-view. The ending was just fucked. Because, okay, so we get toward the ending and these two are brawling outside the ring, right? They both dive out of each other. Javon dives onto Leon Slater in the crowd. And then Javon makes his way out of the crowd. And then as soon as he turns around, Leon Slater dives on him from inside the crowd to back to ringside. And the fucking bell rings. And they announced that this match has been declared a draw because of the match time limit. The 20-minute time limit is over. Which the crowd did not like that. I didn't like it at all. Fucking finished. That fucking time limit shit was garbage. Okay? So then Santino comes out and he said, we have a strict policy on time limit, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and extend this match 5 more minutes. Crowd goes ape shit. So let's do it. They get back in the ringside. Then the fucking lights go dark. And who comes out there? NXT's fucking Dark State. And they beat up both men, pretty much ending in the match. And rightfully so, the crowd said, fuck these guys, all that type of shit. They were chanting, fuck these guys. Appropriately so. Because they came in there and ruined a fucking great match, man, between these two. Like I said, fucking appropriate for what the X Division was built on back in the day. A match like this is what the X division was built on, bro. So if you watch anything from this show, you gotta watch the Leon Slater versus Javon Evans match. Very fantastic match. The ending murdered a little bit, but it was really the best match on the card. So my guess is they're gonna have Javon and Leon Slater team up to face Dark State for these coming weeks, and they probably do something on NXT pay-per-view sometime soon. Maybe add 2 more partners or something. I don't know, or those 2 versus any 2 members of Dark State, something like that. I don't know where they're going to save the match for Leon Slater and Javon Evans. Obviously, they didn't want to beat both of their up-and-coming guys. Both of these guys are like under fucking 25, I think. They're fucking young, bro. So they got a lot of time with these guys, respectively. So we'll see what the plan is when it comes to these 2. But I'll be very sure that Leon Slater will be popping up on NXT this week. Pretty positive. And Javon Evans will do the same on Impact probably Thursday. Then we get to the hardcore war. The System versus the Order 4. This match was cool, right? It had some cool ass spots, okay? This was like a war game style match without the cage. So you will have superstars from each team entering after maybe like in a 10-second interval or something like that, where whoever has the advantage enter first. A person from that team, so they have 2-on-1, the 2-on-1 advantage. So pretty much like a war game setup. And this one had women involved. So you had Tasha Steele representing Order 4 and Alyssa Edwards, Eddie Edwards' wife, representing the System. Cool match. Kind of got turned off with the blood and shit at the beginning from I don't know one of the guys' name. This is a new guy. I've never seen this guy ever. I don't even remember his fucking name. I don't remember John Strahler or Jason Hotch. One of them dudes. One of them motherfuckers just started bleeding out of the blue. I'm like, how the fuck? Where did he get busted open at? Then they started using a cheese grater on him. I was like, all right, I'm toning out from that. So I'm toning out. So we get in later on. Like, they had some great spots, man. Once every participant came in, particularly when Moose came in there, he ran through most of the Order 4 members and hit this gnarly ass powerbomb on Ali on an apron outside. And we get down later. They start bringing in the weapons and stuff. Tasha Steele's. They had this dude named Special Agent Zero. He dived on everybody outside the ring, so knocking everyone out, pretty much besides the woman. And we get the camera shot of Tasha Steele's going back into the ringside area, grabs a barbed wire kendo stick, and she's planning on using it on Alyssa Edwards. But Alyssa Edwards dodges it and uses the barbed wire kendo stick on her, knocks her out of the ring. Then at this point, they jumped thumbtacks on the mat. So as Alyssa Edwards is looking at the hard cam, Special Agent Zero is right behind her. She tried to use the kendo stick on him. He breaks it, throws it away. He grabs her like the Punjabi chokeslam that Great Khali used to do. Pushes her in the air and slams her on the thumbtacks. That was a hell of a bump. I'll give her credit for taking that bump right there. Crazy ass bump. Eddie Edwards comes back in to check on his wife. He gets rid of Special Agent Zero. And then Ali comes in, knocks out Eddie Edwards, and he plans on, he dropped some more tats. So he has another black sack, pulls the thumbtacks out, and he plans on doing a 450 on Alyssa Edwards. So as he goes up top, delivers the 450, she moves out of the way, and Ali lands body first on the thumbtacks. And while he's selling that, Eddie Edwards gets back in, puts the barbed wire on his knee, and delivers a Boston knee party for the win. So Order 4 has been defeated by the System. Pretty cool match. A lot of hardcore shit going on. I mean, I can take it or leave it with these kind of matches from here and there, but it was okay. In TNA standards, it was pretty cool. So then we get to the semi-main event. The Hardys versus the Dudleys in one final table match. And I know a lot of people are going to rag on the match about these old guys still having a match in 2025, X, Y, and Z. But look, we all know what this match was going to be when we saw it get booked. Okay, we know Devon specifically came out of retirement to get into this matchup. We remember like a year and a half ago, Devon had something wrong with his heart. So we know he wasn't going to do too much physical in this match, which is a smart bet TNA by booking this to where he don't take no bumps, no punishment, which is great. You don't want Devon taking no bumps or no punishments. After his heart ailment, he don't need it. That's why Triple H not wrestling. He don't need to be doing nothing strenuous on his heart. So they booked this match really well. And it didn't need to go out there and be a back and forth matchup at all, which it wasn't. Start out the match, the Dudleys delivered 3Ds to both Matt and Jeff, and they immediately put, I believe it was Matt through the table first. So the goal of this matchup is you had to have each member of each team go through a table. So in order for the Hardys to win, both Devon and Bubba or Bully have to go through a table. In order for the Dudleys to win, Matt and Jeff both have to go through a table. Not at the same time, but simultaneously. Okay? So if Matt go through a table first, they got to make sure they put Jeff through the table next in order for them to win the match. So that's how the rules were set up for this matchup. So they 3D out the gate on both Matt and Jeff, put Matt through a table. Then we get to the outside area where Jeff and Devon are fighting each other, and we get that vintage moment, brother. That vintage callback to the Royal Rumble 2000 match or anything like that. Close to it, right? Or WrestleMania or SummerSlam, whatever you want to call it. Close to it. So Jeff climbs up the ladder outside the ring. At this point, Devon is on 2 tables. Jeff does a swanton and pretty much takes Devon out of the match, which is great. He don't need to take no bumps. So I take my head off to TNA for booking it that way for sure. I'm sure the Dudleys and the Hardys had some come up for most of the shit in this matchup. So at this point, it's just Bully Ray and the Hardys. And the Hardys are just taking control, just whamming on Bully with the steel chairs. And at one point, Matt tells Jeff, throw the chair at him. So Jeff goes to throw the chair. Bully ducks it. He hits Matt with the chair. Matt rolls out the ring. And Bully tries to set up Jeff for a powerbomb through the table because they only need to powerbomb Jeff to win the match. So as Bully goes for the powerbomb on Jeff through the table, Matt pulls the table out of the way and Bully just powerbombs him. Misses the table. So for the finish, at this point, Matt and Jeff are just taking control of this match. There's no more Devon. It's just Bully in the ring by himself against the Hardys. And the Hardys are taking turns with the chairs and shit on him. So at this point, they set up a table in the corner. And as Bully Ray is getting up, he glances at the table. The camera just pans on him. And his facial expression is, he knows it's over. So he drops the chair that he has, turns around, and both Matt and Jeff are staring at him with chairs respectively. And he just gives up defeat. So Matt and Jeff both drop the chairs and they say, we don't mean to do this. And then they just pick him up together and slam him through the table for the win. So Matt and Jeff retain the TNA and NXT Tag Team Championships over the Dudleys. And we have a great moment with both teams celebrating one another. Bubba and Devon take their boots off and give it to the Hardys as a show of sign of respect. And they walk off while the fans chant, "Thank you, Dudleys." And they give them one final send-off. So this match was what it needed to be. They didn't need to have a back and forth match. I heard a lot about them booking it the way they did, but bruh, Devon didn't need to take no bumps at all in this match for real. Being that he just literally came out of retirement to do this match, to go back in retirement, what sense does that make for them to have a back and forth match? It don't make any sense. So he booked it the right way. The right guys went over because the Hardys are still going. They're still active. Bully is going to have matches, but Devon ain't been active in I don't know how long. So this was a good match. I enjoyed it. Just for nostalgia's sake, and see these two tag teams go at it one more time in the tables match, and booked it the right way. So right team won, right outcome, and it was booked the right way. Now get to the main event of the show. Mike Santana versus Trick Williams for the TNA Heavyweight Championship. At the introductions, Mackenzie Mitchell introduced Mike Santana to the crowd. She was going to introduce Trick, but Trick took the mic and he started to introduce himself as about to beat Santana, about to retain his championship. He gonna beat Santana like he was the Boston Red Sox, which got a little boos, got a lot of boos from the crowd, right? And he claiming himself as the greatest TNA champion of all time in TNA history. Before he could finish, Santana attacked him. They went into the crowd. Santana controlled that part when they in the crowd. He controlled the majority of the match. The bell hasn't run to this point, so when they get back to ringside, Trick hit Santana with the belt, and then he threw him to the ring post, and then Santana started showing a little color. So, I didn't mind the color in this match because it is warranted, because these two guys have been going at each other for the past couple months, going back to Slammiversary and going to some of their beefs on NXT. So it was warranted for this shit to happen. So I was content with this. Like, okay, Santana got some color. Cool, man. He got him back in the ring, but got a near fall. So after that, Trick was like a shark, bro. He was on Santana all through the very moment. Slammed him on the steps, body slam on the steps on the outside. So back to the ringside, Santana drove Trick in the corner with a Death Valley driver. That move was pretty awesome. I like that. I like him doing that move. Santana just got a lot of mannerisms. Like, I'm glad he's in the position he's in now, bro. Showcasing what he can do by himself. Because when he's in LAX, he couldn't really showcase. The spotlight wasn't on him, and AEW, they just didn't use him the right way, so he had to get up out of there. But get to the ringside. Trick is talking crap to Mike's daughter outside the ring. He gets up on her face and she slaps him, kind of like a Stephanie McMahon slap, but to a little tiny degree. So after this, Santana hit a somersault over the rope onto Trick, and then 450 for a near fall. I can't believe they got a near fall to that. This brings out Trick's lawyer, the guy I've never seen anything, but he was in the backstage segment earlier tonight with Trick. He comes out there to provide distraction to lead to a Uranagi for a near fall from Trick. Mike Dan, he hit a spin the block, right? But got a 2 count very quickly. So Trick got out of that. Trick covered Mike simultaneously for a 2 count as well. Mike Dan hit spin the block on Trick's lawyer, getting him out of the way. Trick delivered the trick shot for a near fall. Very close near fall for the end. He thought he had it there, but he didn't have it. Trick went for another one, but Santana ducked it, hit a clothesline, and then he followed it up with a spin the block, and he pinned Trick to become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. About time, man. Shout out to Santana, bro. Like I said, man, he had to get away from AEW to do his own thing, man. And he's flourishing in his own role, bro, since returning to TNA last year, bro. Got a great look. He's gonna hold that championship with pride for sure. I'm happy to see it, bro. I rock with Santana. That's my guy. I fucks with it. So for him to beat Trick, I didn't expect him to beat Trick clean though. I really didn't, but from Trick's promo earlier in the night, I figured they weren't gonna have Ricky Sainz come out there and cost Trick the match. So I shouldn't have been surprised in that, right? But very good match. Fabulous ending as Santana celebrated with the championship, celebrated with his daughter to end the show. I'll talk about this just because it happened on air, but Nick Nemeth came out there with his Collier shot. What's it called? It didn't get nothing out of it. It wasn't even pointless to even bring it out there to try to Collier shot at the end of the match. And TNA just couldn't let Santana have his moment. Let him have his moment because you didn't give it to him at Slammiversary in New York. Let him have his moment there in the show with him and his daughter, him holding the championship. And then you build to your next pay-per-view with Nick Nemeth or Kazarian being a Collier shot guy, whatever the case may be. But leave that to Santana and let him have his moment. But that was TNA Bound for Glory. TNA Bound for Glory in a nutshell. Just for TNA standards, I'll give it like a B+. All the matches there. The 3 matches you that were promoted out the wazoo. The TNA Heavyweight Championship with Trick and Santana. The tag team final tag team match with the Dudleys and Matt and Jeff. Leon Slater versus Javon Evans. One of those three matches you paid to see, they delivered. Okay, they delivered in the sense of what you expected, what kind of match that was delivered, and the outcomes as well. Besides the Javon and Leon Slater match, everything in those three matches that were promoted heavily were great. So I would say just watch it for those matches alone. The Kyle Shot Gauntlet match was fun. The Hardcore War was okay. Few matches didn't need to be on there. Tessa and Gia Miller didn't need to be on there. Macklin and Kazarian, for as decent as it was, didn't need to be on the show. And I think that's really about it. Out of all the matches I can think of. Yeah. Other than that, and Kalani and Andy Hartwell shouldn't have been on the show. Other than that, good pay-per-view, man. So I get props to TNA. I gotta go watch Monday Night Raw now because I forgot it came on 8 in the morning, but I was touching the buzz at work, forgot about it. So I'm gonna go watch Raw. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If so, man, if you made it this far, give it a thumbs up down below, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Y'all take care. Peace out.